Hello friends, welcome once again to our spare room. I'm sure you're sick of the sight of it, and for that reason we've got some really exciting news. We as a team have been chatting about what it may look like for us come September to find a way to regather in a way that is as safe as it can be, in keeping with government guidelines, so that we can again just enjoy what it is to be church family and community. We've found great ways to worship online together. We've found great ways to dig into God's word. We've even, in some measured way, found ways to do virtual community. We've loved the top chat. We've loved your photos. You guys have done so amazingly at just maintaining and really fighting for community in this time, but it's just not the same, is it, as being together on a Sunday? And we're really aware of that as a team, so we've been thinking through what we might be able to do to that end. And Tim and Gay have incredibly kindly offered their use of their field just opposite their house for the Sundays of September, is what we're going to shoot for. We have thought of a wet weather alternative, but before we go there, Chris, do you want to tell us a bit about what it might look like?
Okay, so we've called it September Field Gatherings, and the idea really is, because obviously it's an outside space, it will be easier in some ways for us to gather. So we've thought this through. We've wanted to try to obviously make sure it's as safe as it can be. And we're going to mow circles in the grass, big enough for a socially distanced group of 6 people to gather, or 2 households, as the advice from the government states. And so we're going to mow lots of circles in the grass, and then we're all going to gather together. We're going to worship together. And that's going to look maybe a little bit different, again, because of the guidelines, but it's an opportunity for us to learn how to worship Jesus in a different way, which is really actually quite exciting, because, you know, we don't walk around every day with a band, do we? So what does it look like to worship Jesus when we're on our own? That could just be like an opportunity for us to learn that all together. So that's great. We're going to be able to engage a bit more in the series that we're going through, Making Jesus Our Greatest Influence. We're going to do that together. But again, capitalize on this thing of us being gathered in smaller groups. So it's going to be very interactive. We're going to ask questions. We're going to help you to engage in that material. So we're aware that I'm really aware of the words that are kind of going over my head from someone that I deeply respect, and they said, you know, the church in the West is far too over-taught for the level of our obedience. And you know what, that guy was just speaking about preaching, and you know, we've heard so many sermons over the years, Danusha and I have, and I think our heart really is that we want in this time more than ever to know what it is to follow Jesus more closely, to have the tools in our hand in order to be able to do that, to have the very practical tips on a day-to-day level, not just from one Sunday to Sunday, but every day. Like, what does it look like to follow Jesus? So that's our heart. That's what we're going to carry on in these September field gatherings. But what could it look like if the weather isn't good to us?
One more thought before we move on to that.
Okay.
Just on a really practical level, like Chris said, we are doing everything we know how in terms of sticking with the guidelines to make the field as safe as possible. That said, it goes without saying, if you wake up on a Sunday morning and you are not well, please don't come. We will miss you terribly. Let us know why you're not coming. We'd love to pray for you, but we just want to honour one another in church family. So please stay at home if you're not well. We're also aware that for some of you, you'll be shielding in this time, and so no matter how safe we could try and make it, it won't feel like the right fit for you. And again, we'll just really miss you, and are praying for you and are with you in heart. And for that reason, because we're aware that some people won't be able to come, it would be really helpful to us to have an idea of roughly how many people will. So for that reason, you'll note in the email that we've just asked you to RSVP or sign up, as it were, through Eventbrite, just to give us an idea of numbers. Is there anything else practical in terms of the field?
So obviously we're aware that we're wanting people to be parking in the right place, and as people enter the site, we're wanting to do everything as safely as we can. So we'll have stations for hand sanitizing. We will have loos available, but again, we will have quite stringent guidelines on how that is all to happen, and they will be cleaned. So everything is going to be as safe as we can make it in this time. Obviously, we're wanting to follow all the guidelines that we can, but as Danusia says, there will be some of us that's just not going to feel possible. And so we will also endeavour to make this online as well. So we're wanting to try to make a live stream of what's happening on the field, so that you can engage with that from your home if you're needing to shield, or if you're needing to stay at home. So that's a little bit from us. I think in this email we've asked you just to respond yes or no as to whether you're coming, and we'll follow that up. And then after that, as Danusia says, we'll want you to sign up via Eventbrite, which is just a website that we can make sure that we know who's coming, we can get your details and stuff like that. So it's just a bit more practical. But on that, when you sign up, you'll have an email sent back to you, which will say about some guidelines that we'll need to follow all together. And then also some stuff that it would be great for you to bring along on those Sundays, just to make it just as good as it can be for each one of us.
Yeah, again, because we're not in a position to be able to provide that for the church family and keep it safe at the same time. So there'll be things like bring your own chair, bring your own drink, etc., etc. It'll be one big bring your own fest. What's it going to look like if it rains?
Okay, so if it does rain, and in the sad event that it does, we will be live streaming from the loft. So there will be worship as normal. The band will be leading us in worship, and then we'll be engaging in the series that we've been embarking upon. So we'll be carrying on in that, and again wanting to make it as interactive as it can be, very practical, hands-on. How do I kind of follow Jesus every day? And then we'll also be praying. So we'll be doing that if the weather doesn't hold up, but we're praying that it does. The first one is hopefully going to be on the 6th of September, and then all of the Sundays in September we hope to be gathering in the field at Tim and Gay's house.
Great. Exciting times. So yeah, do let us know off the bat, yes or no, you're planning to be there, and then from there there's instructions as to what to do in terms of the further details. I think before we leave you, I just wanted to encourage you. Right at the beginning of lockdown, we talked about the opportunity in the challenge, and I am so keenly aware that God is doing things in these days in people's lives that wouldn't have happened in a different environment, because he just wants to draw closer to us and draw us closer to himself. And I think these are days for us to learn to stretch our spiritual muscles, to dig deep in engaging with Jesus and growing in him and walking with him when it's not quite so much all on a plate for us. And I just really want to encourage you that we're growing in that too, and we're praying with you and for you, but just believing that God is doing beautiful things amongst us through this opportunity and the challenge and the adversity. One of the words that I've heard repeatedly spoken over this time is that one of the things that God's doing in his church is pressing reset. Particularly for us in the West, it's very easy to be comfortable, isn't it? And therefore complacent, and therefore not owning our relationship with Jesus for ourselves in quite the way that we could. And I really think that that's something that God is just putting his finger on in this time. It's not in any way a rebuke, it's an invitation. He wants to grow our spiritual muscles, that we would know what it is to walk more deeply with him than ever before. So be encouraged, even if that hasn't felt like that until now. Tomorrow is a new day. As you wake tomorrow, there is opportunity in the challenge. I just encourage you to invite Jesus into that, to walk with you.
And just know, I think that in all of that, we are with you in that process.
Yeah.
We are learning in that process. And we're praying for you and sending our love. And we're looking forward to regathering, reuniting, all of those re's on the 6th of September. And we'll let you know more details as things arise. But from us now,
Loads of love.
Loads of love.
Bye.
Bye.